On December 20th at 7 p.m., RSU TV will broadcast a documentary entitled Chaplains. It's a new 2-hour documentary that takes the viewer into the dynamic world of chaplains, men and women who represent their own particular faith tradition, but are trained to be of comfort and support to everyone, religious or not. With a tradition dating back centuries, chaplains today are on the front lines, often in the midst of life and death situations where the questions are the deepest and the need for spiritual and pastoral care become the greatest. Here's a look.
Chaplains, men and women who represent their own particular faith or religious tradition, but because they work mostly in public settings, are trained to be of comfort and support for everyone, religious or not. There have been chaplains on the battlefield for centuries. Today, the battlefield can be anywhere people face danger, darkness, or despair, or where people simply seek a spiritual voice in a time of need.
Nobody really needs the chaplain until you really need the chaplain.
What a chaplain does is leans in to the painful places.
I am a rabbi by faith, but I'm a chaplain by trade.
I can encourage her, I can call her, I can pray for her, but I can't fix it.
So really, as a chaplain, you're out there, you're with the soldiers, you're with the troops, wherever they are.
You're in such a competitive environment such as we are, you can be afraid to talk because you don't want to appear to be weak.
I think families tend often to be very angry with God.
We felt that there was like a wall in between the police department and the Muslim community.
So I am the pastor for approximately 7,000 people who make up the Senate side of Capitol Hill.
In many ways, they look like a social worker. They're helping people solve life's problems.
Pastor, social worker, counselor, bridge builder. Chaplaincy today is an emerging profession that struggles to define itself as it faces challenges on many fronts. But chaplains offer a window into how to view religion, faith, and spirituality in a religiously diverse America that values the separation of church and state, even though exactly what that means is not always clear.
Now remember, Chaplains will air on December 20th at 7 p.m. Joining me now are 2 local chaplains who can share their experiences as they offer comfort and support to families facing life and death situations. First, we have Forrest Kirk. He's the chief chaplain of the Eastern Oklahoma VA healthcare system in Muskogee, and Kevin Stevenson, staff hospital chaplain for St. John Healthcare System in Tulsa. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
When I first found out about this program, I thought, I wonder if they'll have the clip in there where General Patton calls the chaplain and says, "We need a prayer." And the chaplain, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, we need a prayer. I want good weather so I can go out and kill Nazis," which was not really a good depiction of the chaplain. You guys are, you're put through it daily and nightly, aren't you? Yes. I mean, you see everything.
Well, we do, and it's honestly a blessing to be able to see some of those things. When I say some, you have pain and you hurt just like everybody else. And I think no one is made out of iron or steel. Mm-hmm. You go in, you know you're there for the family, but the family, when they're hurting, you just, if you're there and you see it, you just somehow it hits you too.
So you have to be sensitive to the needs of the family as well as the pain they're going through.
And not only that, you have to bring yourself into this equation. Mm-hmm. And many times you're there for the first time, you're meeting the family for the first time, and you enter in to you as a stranger. But because of who you represent, as you come in there's generally an openness. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it's difficult, but at the same time, and you bring yourself, and let me make sure I say that, you bring yourself, but at the same time, it is for both of us. I think it is for the family and it is for me. I'll just speak for myself. It's for me when I'm in there to know that the presence of who I bring with me.
Well, let's clear something up from the get-go. Since a lot of folk don't really understand the role of the chaplain, when you are with someone, are you trying to convert them to your faith, to your religion?
For me at St. John, we have a policy. Our job is not to convert, but kind of what Kurt just said is to be with. There's a term that we utilize in pastoral care. It's called incarnational presence. That means Christ is within me, and when I go into the room, I bring Christ into that room, and just my presence and the hope and the grace and the mercy that's there speaks volumes within itself. What makes chaplaincy different is not so much that we proclaim, is that we just simply be with someone and journey with them. And through that process, we do see measures of healing.
You know, it's a most amazing calling to me. I can sit here and say to you, well, I understand a hospital having a chaplain on board, but now industry across the country are opening up doors to, we need a chaplain here, we need a chaplain there. Are you surprised at that?
Well, in my view, I think the recognition is coming quickly, that there is no pill for pain, for guilt, shame, or blame. There's no pill you can give, no shot for guilt. There's no medication that you can give for shame. You have to, it appears to me what I would call an awareness and an acknowledgement that it takes something more than that. It takes, you know, we can medicate. We have, I work with on the psych ward. There's all sorts of medications for all sorts of organic mental illnesses. But some of the things that underlie the mental illness, for example, we had a patient that had PTSD, but there was no progress that could be made with this PTSD, and they had the person on all sorts of medication, but they couldn't get them to break through until one day I happened to be up there and discussed their guilt. And when they were able to deal with the guilt, then the movement toward the rectification or the at least resolving of the PTSD were able to move forward.
Tell me something. How do you fellas handle your lives at the end of the day? I know when you walk out of that hospital, you've got an enormous and unseen burden on your shoulders. I know that in your heart, you embrace your own personal faith. But how do you live with what you've heard in some cases? How do you take it home?
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about is self-care. How do I manage my own personal life as I encounter suffering and crisis? What I've learned within our diocese and within my own family circle is to have people that I'm accountable to. People I can talk to on a regular basis to debrief. Quite often among our group at St. John, we talk together. We'll debrief a particular case. We'll talk about our experiences. It's kind of like a reality check so we can get a perspective. Within my church family, I have people that I talk to and work through, because as a human, as I walk into a human situation, I'm going to be affected by it. I mean, that's just part of being in this field. But what I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have are people that I can go to personally and talk about what I may be experiencing, the impact I may be having on my own personal life, my own family. I utilize the term physician, heal thyself. You know, one of the biggest tragedies, if I'm trying to bring healing to others but not being aware of my own particular issues, then what happens, you may end up having a negative effect. So I try to have a support system of people that I can call at any time to work through whatever I may be experiencing.
Well, I approach that a little slightly differently, and I agree totally that you have to have a support system. But at the same time, I apply from my tradition to Scripture. And it's Galatians 6, where it talks about anyone who's overtaken in a fault, ye who are spiritual, restore that one gently, considering yourself. But that passage goes on until it gets to verse 5, and it says, because each one must bear his own load. So yes, I have a burden. I obligate myself because of my calling to a burden-bearing ministry, and I want to be there. I want to be present. I want to be mindful of the patient. But at the end of the day, it is still the patient's issue. That patient, it is his or her load. It is not really my load. And what I've come to the realization of is that I'm going to be there, but I have to let you go and handle your own load. I have to separate, more or less.
Do the best you can.
To separate, because
going.
it is. That scripture says, it says, but each one must carry his own load.
They're telling me I have to take a break, and I'm so sorry. I wish we had more time to talk, because you guys have great stories to tell, and maybe we can have you back. Yes. Would you agree to that?
Yes, I would. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Most excellent. Thank you both.
All right.
Up next, another important documentary that's also going to air on RSU Public TV, and we'll have more on that when we come back.